You're watching The Edward Fowler Show. Now, here's your host, Edward Fowler.
Good evening and welcome to my episode here this evening on this lovely Friday, the 22nd of March 2024. And we've got a great lineup of guests coming up over the next week, and it all begins tonight with a returning guest for the first time on my show in almost 4 years. That's right, 4 years ago, I had the pleasure of having on KZT, or as I had her on the show back then as Karen Tran. It's been amazing that it's been almost 4 years ago since I last had you on my show. And, so I do appreciate for your time today to come back on and to reunite with me.
Thank you so much for having me back on. I'm super excited to join the desk again, the virtual desk.
Yes.
I'm trying to find the link here so I can share it, but I think I just did. Okay. I just did.
Perfect, cool. Thank you for that. And but no, it's been a long time. Because last time we had you on the show, you were talking about your great graphic work you were doing, your graphic designs for different companies and whatever. And it's it's so detailed and it takes a lot of time and effort. And we also talked a little bit about your wrestling journey as well. So since we last had you on, of course, it was in COVID in 2020 as well, when we didn't know what on earth was going to happen. But now things have opened back up. Things are now back to normal. And how has the last year been for you, by the way?
I mean, to be completely honest, 4 years does not feel like 4 years since 2020. I feel like it feels more like a really long 6 months. It's just been, a very, but then, also in that, very extended 6 months, a lot has happened since we last spoke. I've driven across the country from the West Coast to the East Coast. I've relocated. I've, found myself in a new position. I'm, just working a lot, traveling a lot, wrestling here and there when I can, still keeping busy with WOW Women of Wrestling and, still trying to make art and do creative things on the side when I can. Filling all the gaps with as much training and teaching of martial arts as I can. And that's a very messy summary of my last 4 years, I guess. But it's been a lot of stuff, but then also just still catching up, I feel, from all that craziness of 2020.
Absolutely, because I feel like because when we last chatted, because during that weird time of 2020, I never thought we will see people going back so soon, because like in 2021 onwards, things started reopening up, and it was great. And but I didn't think it'd be that fast. I thought maybe 4 years after that we might see things back to some kind of normal. But it moved so fast. And of course, you mentioned you moved across the country. I believe when we last chatted, you were I think in Los Angeles, because I remember you were telling me about the story about when you moved from, I think it was Australia. When you moved from Australia over to Los Angeles. So it's great to see you now once again moved again. And how was the process of moving again from your new home of Los Angeles for so many years to then moving again to the East Coast? Was it quite easy, or was it quite hard at times?
It was honestly one of the most interesting, unique, and difficult experiences of my entire life. When I decided I was going to make the shift from LA over to the East Coast, I basically just packed up my little Honda Civic with as much of my stuff as I could, and I drove across the country in the middle of winter. And I don't know if you're familiar with the terrain of the middle of America in the months of December and January, but they're not the most forgiving in terms of weather and driving conditions. And of course, me just being the sometimes just blissfully ignorant Australian living on the west coast of America, kind of unbeknownst to Google exists, and I should have probably done a little bit more research, but I just, I decided to drive in my little sedan across the country in, snowstorms and
Wow.
blizzards, and was introduced to the concept of black ice, which is when the roads, have this nice little shiny glaze of ice over it. So driving on that, and just slipping and sliding all over the road with a car full of just mostly my art supplies actually and clothes. Um, that was not fun, but that was definitely. But I do not regret a single minute of it because I feel like of all the character building moments in life to have occurred, that was definitely one of them. Definitely strengthened my fortitude in terms of just dealing with the elements and just dealing with the unexpected.
Mm.
But it was definitely an adventure. I spent probably 10 days on the road and just driving from, city to city and taking stops when I could and listening to, a lot of audiobooks and stuff. And uh, you know, I, I think I spent a few days in, certain parts of the country just to chill out and just to explore like Yellowstone and parts of Montana and Idaho and Kentucky. It was amazing. It was very it was an incredible experience, and I don't regret a single second of what led me up to that journey. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
But I mean, it must have been quite stressful at times doing those
Mhm.
wintry elements added in, because I know I would be if I was traveling across the country, and if you've not encountered that kind of weather before, if you're not used to that type of weather format, then
Mhm.
you're gonna be I know I will be stressing about will I make it in one piece without
Oh yeah.
losing control. So I bet that wasn't very fun, but at least you got to see some amazing sights along the way in
hmm
the winteriest of it all as well, which is great to see.
hmm
And what are your plans then for 2024 then? What are you hoping to achieve?
That's a great question. Um, the concept even of 2024 is still wild to me. My plans and my goals. I mean, I'm very much involved in my job right now, and it takes up a lot of my time. So outside of that, I my plan is to just keep wrestling, keep training, keep teaching martial arts as much as I can. And when I am on the road for work, just trying to take the moments to appreciate the new cities that I'm in every week, and just enjoy the moment for what it is, and just enjoy the experiences. And I really can't ask for much more than that. I feel like very blessed in the position that I am in now, but it can, as stressful as it can be, it's pretty amazing. And I do try and just, as well I can, just stop and smell the roses
Yes.
for lack of a better comparison or analogy. But yeah.
Well, it
But
does
really,
came
yeah.
it does came to me as well that when we last spoke as well, a lot of things have changed since we last spoke. A lot of things have has changed for maybe the better, for the worse. Who knows? But I mean, it's just
Mhm.
mind blowing. Like the goals you've got, and I hope you will achieve all the goals you will want to achieve in 2024. But I got to say
Thank you.
though, because I always wanted to know like what is it about teaching martial arts than actually being, I
Mhm.
guess, a student of the game, crafting your own skills? What about teaching the next generation? What is your motivation behind that?
I find such fulfillment and enjoyment in teaching martial arts because I spent so many years training and competing, and while at the moment I don't really have the time or capacity to compete as much as
Hmm.
I would like to, uh, what I still want to contribute to the art of jiu-jitsu specifically is to be able to share that knowledge to people that are willing to learn and to take that on. And I see how what it's done for my life and how much it's improved my mental health and just my physical well-being, but also just emotionally and mentally. It's just been such an amazing tool in just keeping me grounded and keeping me sane for the most part. And as much as I can contribute to spreading that awareness of like how helpful it is to people. Just letting people know that it is something that is accessible to everyone, and you don't have to be fit to start training. You just have to start, and just being able to be on the mats and be consistent with showing up and just trying your best and trying to just get that across to everyone that comes into the dojo and that wants to try it out and just wants to have a good attitude about it. I'm all about it, and I'm whether it is just to stay in shape or whether it's to compete or whatever you want to do with the specific martial arts, the concepts of martial arts in your life. I love to cultivate that, and I love to just help people, embrace that, and because of what it's done for me in my life, I just really want to share that with everyone.
Yeah,
and it also just gets me away from just craziness of life. Just like it's the one constant, like I've always said, through all the ups and downs of what life throws at you. Training and martial arts will always be there, and it'll always be your constant. And so, just having that as like a safety net almost it's just been so helpful to me. And I really hope that people that train and people that are even thinking about training really understand that, like, that's a true benefit of training martial arts. I mean, it's called a kick ass, and like, you can put someone to sleep in 6 seconds, but it's also there's so much more to it than that. So yeah.
Yeah, because I would not when they got on the bad side of you, because I've seen some of your takedowns and they look very painful. So
Right.
don't want to go on one side of you.
Yeah. I have broken a couple of ribs of my opponents in the past. So
Ouch.
yeah.
Well, but the question is, was it deliberate? Were you going there for that intent, or
No. I mean, no, it was not deliberate.
Fair enough. But I mean,
But
have you
yeah.
come across an opponent who you were helping to teach that
Mhm.
you thought, wow, this kid's got it. This kid's got what it needs to go to that next level? Have you come across that a lot with some of your students, or is it quite a rarity you've come across that this guy's got it, got the
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. All the time. I always see people that I can just show something without even explaining, and you can just see it's just like a natural instinct for them to move in that direction, or to move, with the kind of movements that are specific to jiu-jitsu. And it's just awesome to see when you notice that in, like, for someone that's never been on the mats before and then can just pick something up so quickly and then be able to transition that into like a live sparring situation with not much, you know, instruction at all. Like, it's
yeah.
just awesome to see that, some people will pick it up very quickly, but other people I see who don't pick it up quickly, who have been able to show that they really want to do it and just show up every day and just keep working at it, and how much better they've gotten just because of that. So, it's just so interesting to see the contrast of, natural talent versus
Yeah.
like hard work, and both are very, legitimate things to have as you go into the training. But I feel like one can't, it's not just one or the other. But I feel like people that work hard at it, like, will then bring out their like natural talent and their natural strengths. And it's just a matter of honing in and just being persistent and being consistent with the training, and it'll eventually come. If you want it bad enough, you'll get there. That's always been my philosophy. So yeah.
It works, and that's great advice.
Yeah.
And we got to mention as well, we got a YouTube comment live. This is to prove that this is live. Melissa Sampson has wrote in. Thank you for your comment. It says KZT is the best. Can't disagree with that.
Here's Melissa Sampson.
Yes. Thank you for that. And we can't disagree with that because you are the best. Because you're a stack of all trades. So you are one of the busiest people I know in the world.
Right.
And that is great advice you gave a moment ago as well. It's like it's pretty much the same as in wrestling, because some people got the, as you said, natural talent, while other people take a bit longer to learn the craft as well. And if you come up every day, and if you're passionate enough and eager, then you will put the work in, and you'll be the first one there, last one out as well. Bit like learning the car, isn't it, as well, I guess?
I mean, I feel like there's not really anyone to stop you but yourself if you have something that you want to do bad enough. So, yeah.
Now, I'm wondering if we can mention this because I know we were originally going to have somebody else joining us on the show today, but because
Yes.
they're a bit selfish, they
Well,
decided they decided to turn on you, didn't they? Which I thought was very,
yeah.
very mean of them, and I want to know how you're going to get your revenge on this particular person because I think what they did to you recently was awful.
Mm. You know,
You did not deserve it.
revenge revenge is an interesting concept because while it's very satisfying to think about the things that you could, do in turn to someone that's wronged you in the past,
Mm.
um, I honestly feel like that only gets you so far in terms of your karmic justice in the world. So, um, and while I would love to indulge in the thought of like really just, acting out violent situations with said person, let's just see how the future pans out for these kinds of things because I feel like, at some point the universe will just reward those that need to be rewarded and will punish those that have it coming.
I like your thoughts there. Bit of a
Mhm.
teaser as well. So we have to see
Yep.
uh, what will happen in the coming weeks on Wow Wrestling. That's what we're on about.
Hmm.
If you're not familiar with the topic, but
Yeah.
I felt quite hurtful of what happened the other week to
Me
you,
too.
and I thought you didn't deserve it. So I hope that person gets what's coming to them. A good old ass kicking at some point.
Maybe. You'll have to tune in and find out.
Yes, tune in to find out. Exactly
Yeah.
right. Can't say any better than you. You mentioned earlier on as well about different cities you've been able to go to recently.
Hmm.
Is there still some of the cities out there you would love to go to which you've seen from maybe other TV shows or videos or pictures and you think, wow, I would love to go to that city and to view it myself?
Um, I recently did one of those uh Instagram quiz things where it like got you to mark up all the states that you visited.
Oh, yeah.
And I think in terms of like within America, I've pretty much covered, I want to say 80% of the states. The ones that I haven't been to, I don't have a huge interest in visiting, like Vermont. Um,
Why not
but
Vermont?
no, what
Why is Vermont not
I
on your
just
list?
I haven't really, heard or seen anything of interest that has drawn me there.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
Fair enough.
I'm always open to suggestions. And if someone says that like there's a cool art museum or, you know, someone called a train there, I'm definitely all about it. But to this point in my life, no one has ever really given me a convincing argument as to why I should want to visit Vermont. So
Yeah.
if anyone can can enlighten me on that, I'm all ears and eyes on that. So, but funnily enough, Hawaii is one of the states that I have not been able to visit. So
Really? Wow.
whether whether it's for work or pleasure, I haven't. I would absolutely love to go there at some point. But yeah.
Yeah, you should.
And
You
then
should.
yeah, and then Mexico. I've never been to Mexico, so I'd love to go there to either wrestle or to vacation or
Yeah.
for work. It's one of the places on my list for sure. And in terms of like, work wise, I would love to be able to do what I do back home in Australia and that would be pretty awesome to see. Um,
Yeah, it would be pretty dope to see you
yeah.
back over in Australia for sure, in front of your
Yeah.
own home fans, hearing your name
Yeah.
being chanted. I'm
Mhm.
sure, but I could be wrong. I'm sure you probably have people reaching out to you wanting to make it happen, but you've got to the right, I guess, opponents and the right story for you
Right.
to be tempted to go over there,
Mhm.
probably, possibly. But I mean, the exposure of Raw Wrestling gives you that opportunity as well, because I know last time we
Mhm.
chatted, it wasn't as big as it is now because it's on like. I think it's on like Paramount or Plus or
Yeah.
something like that now, and it's got a brand
Mhm.
new owner who also owns like a local Los Angeles. I think it's like, is it basketball team.
Jeannie Buss, yeah, she's actually owned it for quite a number of years. She's been, part of WoW since I've been there. So, but yeah, it's definitely the growth of WoW has been pretty exponential over the
Yeah.
last, I want to say, 2 to 3 years, and
No,
it's pretty
absolutely.
amazing. Pretty amazing to be a part of that journey from, where when I started to where it is now, and just having amazing people to work with every time we go and do the shows. And yeah, it's a great experience. And we definitely have obviously fantastic owners, Jeannie Buss being one of them, who's been such a champion for the company and champion for women's wrestling. It's just awesome to have that kind of support as part of the company. And it's definitely great that we have the exposure that we have now on the syndicated platforms in
Yeah.
America.
Most definitely, because it's good to see women wrestlers and women at all at the front as well. It's great to see in the 21st century and in 2024. But I hope that the episodes and the show itself gets extended longer, because I don't think half an hour or 45 minutes or an hour, I think it's enough time to feature all these incredible women. I think it should be at least 2 hours a week or more.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, because
Make that happen.
we want to see all these great stories unfolding and all these great women being able to get more airtime and to tell us who they are and express themselves more. And
Absolutely.
I just don't think that they get enough time to do so.
I agree with you. I think the more minutes, hours, that women can get for wrestling on television, the better.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
What are you wanting to do in regards to your art? You mentioned about your artwork earlier, and how is all that going for you as well at the moment?
It's you're really putting me on the spot here, aren't you?
Well, my questions are very. I should mention who's watching or listening to this. I should say that this show is never scripted, so even I don't know what I'm going to ask next. It just flows off the tongue. I guess. I don't know. I guess I prefer that style. Many people like that style. I guess who listen to the show or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I respect it. I respect it.
I just like a casual flow.
Everyone on their toes.
Yeah, exactly. I like it.
My journey in art is a ongoing one, and it's one of the things that I feel like I can it's one of those journeys that I feel like it's hard to put a finality to it, because I'm constantly coming up with ideas. And while that's great, the downside to that is that I will start a project and get maybe 25-35% through it, and then get an idea that I want to pursue, and then I'll start on that. And then so I have piles of unfinished or midway finished projects in my studio, and for better or worse, that's currently the state of my journey. So what I like to do is just so to give you a bit of like a context of the art side of things that I do. One of my favorite things to do is to go thrifting and find clothes or objects that have had a life, and then use them as canvases to paint art, or to give them like a new look or something like that. So I like to use I love to like customize jackets and shoes and bags, and just kind of go crazy, and just have an unlimited sort of supply of like different canvases, because it gives me a challenge as an artist, as like not just to work with something that's completely blank and then just to try and make something out of that, but it already has a structure and a form and a feel and a life and a history. And it's like, how do I give that an extra sort of extra meaning by taking on ownership and then giving it a different look. So I'm a very big believer in reuse of things and recycling things, and I hate the idea of contributing to landfill with just more stuff. So stuff that already exists, for me, it's just it's better to utilize that in what I need to do in life, as opposed to buying new things and then just throwing away things that I already have that might not necessarily, need to be thrown away,
Yeah.
so to speak. So yeah, so I like to think of like my contribution to the earth is like taking away things that could be, that could just end up in landfill and just giving them a life by just, turning them into canvases somehow. And I'm very big into like illustrative typography and just, custom handwritten type things. And so I like to just use that as like an artistic sort of approach to the things that I paint or sew or whatever I choose to do. But yeah, that's a long answer to your short question.
No, it's fine
yeah.
because there's a show over here. I'm not sponsored by the show. It's on the BBC, but it's called Money for Nothing, where exactly what you've just said is where they go to a recycling centre, and they will see people throwing away things, and they will approach them and say, "Are you getting with this?" So they explain the reason why, and they say, "Well, can I take this because I think I can use this?" And then they will do all this work to it, and at the end of the show, they will sell it on, obviously, and then whatever money they get from whatever they do to the object, because sometimes they chop the legs off or they redesign it, do something else to it, make it unique. They would give the money from whatever they sold to them.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Back to the person. So it's quite good. And as you mentioned as well, it's always good, I think, to reuse things, because many people think that once it's being used, you can't use it again. But that's not always the case, because there's many things you can do to keep using this material or an object as well. So it's great, the creativity many people in the world have and able to do with different things as well. It's just mind-blowing to see that, and you're one of the people who are an example of that and inspiring the next generation of doing the same as well.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I get kind of crazy with it, because I'll, if I have like plastic utensils that I don't end up using, if I've eaten like takeout or something and I've only used the fork and there's like a knife and spoon that haven't been used, like I'll stash them in my bag and I'll bring them back home and I'll use those to like mix my paints or something like that. So I always just try and find a use for every little thing, as ridiculous as it may be, but it kind of like borders on hoarding a little, but I'm trying to keep that in check.
I was about to say that. So I was thinking in my mind about you. You seem like a hoarder on a low scale.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I will say that.
I'll say hoarding tendencies. I'm not at quite the hoarding stage yet, but I've got to keep myself in check on that one.
And I'm sure as well you got a great support system around you, which will probably keep you on check to make sure. Do you really need to keep this? Are you going to use that type of thing? So I'm sure there's a few people out there. I believe I can see there's a few people out there who will probably be keeping you in check for definitely.
That's for sure.
So I would like to know as well, because before we, of course, finish our conversation here, because, of course, I don't want to keep on it for too long, is two more things. So one is, who are you wanting to collaborate with throughout your different genres of what you're involved in? That's one question. The other question is, who would you suggest to see on this show after you?
Great questions.
You can answer either one first, by the way.
Yeah, in terms of collaborating with artistically or
or wrestling or anything like that, all those different genres you cover, because there's a lot of things you do.
I love collaborating. Like I feel like that's just the most amazing part of just either within art or like wrestling. It's like you're working with people, and your ideas can only take you so far, but then you mix that in with someone else's like perspective and brain, and it's just incredible the things that can evolve from that. So I don't really have anyone in mind. It's just anyone that has that has great ideas and that wants to do stuff together. I'm all for it. And in terms of wrestling, like as a fighter, if anyone challenges me to a fight, I'm probably not going to say no. So whether that may be stupid or not on my behalf, it's that's just my approach. So in the martial arts kind of the martial arts world, that's, I guess, a collaboration. Like if someone challenges me, I'll definitely fight them. But yeah, in terms of like wrestling, like anyone that, I feel like that's the best part about, especially with professional wrestling. It's just like with MMA, like, different how, styles of fights make the fight, like just different styles of people's athletic abilities and approaches to like wrestling or fighting. Those coming together can, create something beautiful. And that's the best part about it. It's just not knowing what could come about to sort of different approaches coming together. And that's, the best part about collaborating within art or within wrestling, or even just like with training someone who has a different style to you, and how you have to change your movements to work with theirs, so on and so forth. And what was the other question again?
Oh yes, the other question is, before I get to that question, I was going to say, I'm going to respond to you by saying that you can't always win them all, can you? You can't go in there. Unless you're like a Goldberg, then you can't always win everyone. You're bound to lose one or two.
Yeah,
that's just life, isn't it? You can't always win, but it's all about getting back up and going again. That's the main thing, isn't it?
For sure.
But the second question was, who would you suggest to see on this show after yourself?
I would love to hear from, anyone that has a crossover of like being an artist or musician and wrestling. Yeah. Like those are the kinds of people that, I always think have such an interesting take on creativity, when you combine like the physicality of a sport, but then also like the artistic side of the brain. And those kinds of minds I always are very interesting to me. So that's who I would love to see on the show.
Perfect.
Also, if you wanted to hunt down my former tag team partner and get her side of the story, to see why she decided to turn on me, I would also love to hear from that, because she's ignoring all my thoughts.
Well, I will have to try my best to get her on the show, because that's a challenge I would love to bring on. As you both the suggestions you gave, so I'll be absolutely all over the moon. But I don't know if she'll come on my show now, because I did skate before. That I heard that someone kicks her ass when coming for her. But we'll see. Hopefully she'll rotate literally. Hopefully she will come on my show, because I would love to hear her side of the story. I would love definitely to hear her side of the story, but definitely. I've got to say as well, because since you've been on this show, I've had on many different people. We've had on White Set Fred, who did that famous song, I'm Too Sexy for Your Shirt.
Oh my God.
Eric Bischoff's been on here. We've had Rev Theory, the legendary band who does Randy Orton's The Voices and did the soundtrack for WrestleMania 24. We've had
so cool.
Who else? Al Snow from OVW, he's been on here as well. And many other great musicians, and even great comedian like Kyle Gordon, for instance, who is very popular in America as well. We've had him. We've had some fantastic people over the years, and it's always a pleasure to have yourself back on. But I will make sure that it doesn't take me another 4 years to bring you back on the show again. So I'll bring you on a bit more regularly, I think, in the future.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a blast.
Good.
To chat to you.
I should mention as well, please plug your social media, because I would love for people to follow you and to share you and reach out to you.
Yeah, so on Instagram and Twitter, I barely use Twitter anymore, but on Instagram, I'm at Hey Karen Tran, and you can also follow my my WoW account, which is at Exodus_WOW. And I also have a couple of shows coming up. If anyone's going to be around WrestleMania weekend, I'm going to be doing a couple of shows in Philadelphia, one for Combat Fights Unlimited and one for Labor of Love, and both going to be awesome, fun shows. And then also in May, I'm doing a show for a new women's promotion called Bell to Bell, and really looking forward to that one. And they're all in Philly, so it's kind of my second home. So keep an eye out for that. Follow me on those socials, and then you'll be able to see more specific details for those things.
I love it. Great teasers, and I wish you the best for all those 3 shows you mentioned. And by the way, do you think the Bloodline will retain at WrestleMania?
No comment on that one. No comment.
And on that note, then I say,
I will not.
on that note, then I would say that it's always a pleasure to be on the show. Do stay on the line, guys. I do want to ask you a big favor, and if you enjoyed the episode, make sure to smash that like button on the video. Share the video around. Tell more about my friend KZT. Follow her, share her, like her stuff, and make sure you go to her show she mentioned there a moment ago and support her, or even boo her if you're not a big fan of her from Wow Wrestling.
Yeah, please.
Also, as well, if you're new around here and you love the content, want to see more of my content, all you have to do is smash that subscribe button. It takes 10 seconds or less. And until the next episode drops, which will be early next week, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, morning, evening, or night.
Thanks.